Okay, so here's Dr. Paul with today's peak provocation, which is what is the potential friction or trade off between grit and adaptability? Great question. Because here's the deal we think about grit as this sheer raw perseverance, tenacity, passion, and effort toward a goal, right? Dig deep, never, never, never quit. Well, if you're doing that, how agile, how adaptable are you really? Isn't that in direct conflict with trying to be adaptable? Well, the thing we need to know is that grit, there's the difference between what we teach, which is grit 1.0, which is sheer raw tenacity and perseverance, and grit 2.0, our model, which teaches the difference between dumb and smart grit, bad and good grit. So, dumb and smart grit is really about going after it in the most effective ways that help you get there better and faster than you otherwise would. So, part of smart grit is being adaptable. So along the way, you set that goal, you dig deep, you invest your effort, resources, and tenacity and conviction in making it happen. But how you do it has to be adaptable. You have to be able to adapt to changing information, circumstances, whatever the weather conditions, whatever it may be, in terms of how you go after your goal. So the why demands insane levels of grit. The how demands tremendous levels of adaptability, and you can be proactive in your adaptability so that you put best use of your grit and, by the way, your adversity quotient or AQ to use as you go after that worthy goal. So that's the relationship. They can rub against each other or they can synergize together, and that's what we strive to make sure happens every single time. Okay, so Dr. Paul here with you today for today's peak provocation, which is coming from a session I had the opportunity to do, a live webinar the other night with our beloved partner, Southeast Asia, Viventis Search Asia. And the people attending this were across 6 continents, hundreds of people. It was just amazing. And one of the questions that came up was this: can you truly improve and learn resilience and grit? And I have to tell you, after doing this work in research for 40 years, we can say definitively the answer is yes. We know this for sure. Why? Because we have measured the change or improvement in more than 1 million individuals across 137 countries. So the answer is definitively yes. And not only that, we understand the difference in the mechanism a bit, and it goes something like this. Resilience, this thing we call your adversity quotient, which is a hardwired pattern of response to adversity, because it is hardwired, can be rewired and permanently rewired and improved. So in other words, you fundamentally do believe change your wiring, your pattern of response when adversity strikes. Grit, however, we truly believe is more like a capacity or a muscle. And because of that, you can strengthen that muscle by using that muscle, but using it effectively. And that's the key part. A lot of grit gets destroyed by using grit ineffectively. But if you can use grit in the right ways for the right things, for worthy things, then you can grow that muscle and have stronger overall grit across the board. So that's today's peak provocation. The answer is yes. Okay, so now the provocation we have to address is, how do you really actually measurably strengthen this thing called grit? I mean, I'll tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is to exhort people and say, you got to have more grit, and you got to show more grit, and you can be grittier, and try to motivate and inspire people from the outside in. That's not a sustainable model. But you can grow grit from the inside out, and it starts with the why and the try. So what I always ask people is, so on a scale of 1 to 10, regarding whatever this goal is you're going after, how strong is your why? And then the second question I ask is, okay, if 10 is the strongest humanly possible, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is your try? And if the why exceeds the try, you're not getting anywhere. And if the try exceeds the why, maybe you're going after the wrong thing, or at least the wrong version of the thing, right?